Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the reign of King Hezekiah over Judah. And as if you've been watching the past few videos, you would have seen that we were talking about the kings of Israel and Judah, and the ones that did good, the ones that didn't do good. And let's just start right now and continue with our series. So, King Hezekiah. Basically, during his reign, he took all the false gods that the past kings had set up. He took down all the images and all that stuff, and the idols and everything. And things were going well for him for quite some time. But during that time, let's think of Soviet Union and how they would go to countries and make them satellites. Think of that as with Assyria. So Assyria was going around taking over countries and invading countries and forcing them to serve them, right? And so they had set their eyes on Israel, and they were doing, they're going after Israel, but then they had set their eyes against, Judah. And so Assyria, invaded Judah because Hezekiah wouldn't serve the king of Assyria. I think his name was Sennacherib. He wouldn't serve him because why would you want to serve some country far off away? You know what I'm saying? So he decides not to serve them, and they invade. And then he's like, okay. Well, he tells them, remove yourselves from the country. And so he asks what he can do for them to turn back and stop invading Judah. And so they want a ton of gold and silver, and the only place where you can get it is from the house of the Lord. And if that's what David had built or Solomon had built, and it's just been around. And he basically just looted the place, cleared it out, sent all the gold and silver and all that stuff over there. And for a little while the king of Assyria was appeased. But you know how it always is, you send a little bit as a ransom, and the people that want the ransom are always going to come back and want, it's called greed. They're always going to come back for more. And so, after the whole thing, after they send all the gold, not too long after, they obviously come back and they start invading the country and taking over the towns. And then, obviously the capital of Judah is Jerusalem. And so they come and, besiege Jerusalem. And so in that time, Hezekiah's got to figure out what to do. And, the Assyrians send messengers over, and they go and, tell all the people, hey, don't trust in Hezekiah. Don't trust in the Lord. Don't trust anything he has to say. Just give up. And we're going to give you your keep. We're going to give you your land, and we're going to let you live your life, but you're going to be under the control of a different country far away. So that's basically the idea. You give it up, you let them take over, you get to live your life happy, which is obviously a lie. It never ends that way. But that's basically what they told them. Don't trust in the Lord. And they said all kinds of blasphemies and the first thing Hezekiah does is he humbles himself. He goes to the prophet Isaiah, and he tells him, well, I'm sorry. He goes to the prophet Isaiah about that, and he returns, and he basically tells them, they're not going to take over Jerusalem. They're not going to take over because God's going to glorify himself, and he's basically going to smite them for him. And so Judah doesn't even have to lay a finger, because eventually, the battle, they're trying to besiege and everything. And basically the Lord just, kills over 100,000 of the Assyrians, just like that. And by the time, by the time the day comes, or well, by the time they realize there's a bunch of dead corpses all over the place, and Jerusalem is saved, Judah is saved, and the king of Assyria, he's at his little false god worship thing, and two of his sons come over and they kill him. And so that's basically what happened to him, and that's a good story to know, because you see how Judah was under attack. You know, they gave concessions, and the Assyrians got a bunch of stuff, but they came back because they're greedy. That's what they do. And that's a good lesson to tell you that, you know, when all other things fail, there always is one thing, and that's faith in God. And that's the one thing that can push you to victory. And that's what happens throughout history, and that's what happening in Ukraine. You know, Russia goes and invades, and they're telling them, you know, just give up, and just, you know, you got your country, you got your Nazi leadership and all that stuff. And what the Ukrainians do, they humble themselves, they go, you know, they obviously go to church and pray and everything, and they go and kick the Russians, you know, behinds. And that's basically, well, it's not the same thing, but I'm trying to give you the idea, you know. God struck down all the 100,000 Assyrians, and they fled, and, you know, the Russians aren't doing good right now, is basically what I'm trying to say. And the number one factor behind that is humbling and faith, with both instances. So whenever, you know, if you're ever a person of power or anything, you never want to let somebody tell you how you're supposed to do something, even if they have more resources, even if they're stronger than you or more powerful. You never let them tell how you're supposed to run your country or whatever you do. You never let anyone do that, because if you just hold it out, humble yourself, have faith, you're going to be able to get out on top and be victorious. And I'm just saying, when you give concessions, when you try and give in a little bit, they always come back for more, because they're greedy. They want everything. So the number one thing to do is not give in, not, you know, give up, because it's always going to end the same way. If somebody comes in, they tell you got to do this, and you do it, they're going to tell you to do something else, and eventually they're just going to take control anyway. So you might as well fight back. And that's basically what Ukraine's doing. They might as well fight back, because if they don't, if they lose, then it, you know, it ends up badly. But if they don't fight, you know, they get it anyway. And they're fighting, and you can see how they're being victorious right now. And that's called faith. That's called, hey, we don't have a lot of stuff here, but we're using what we do have, and we're defeating the enemy. That's basically faith right there, because that's something the Russians can use whatever they want, whatever crazy weapons, and they can't break the people no matter what, because they have something outside of just, you know, like, I just want to have a little happy little life, and that's called faith. And that's why it's so important for a country and for a military to have, you know, faith enshrined in service, because then that tells you, okay, well, there's something that I'm fighting for outside of just for my own personal benefit. And when you do that, you raise your kids like that, they're going to have more patriotism, they're going to have more ability to, you know, just, you know, how do I say it? They'll have more ability to just work with what they have, even even in a situation where you know, things are stacked up against them. So it's always important that you learn that. It's always important that you teach your children that, and, you know, you get that from reading the Bible. I keep saying, you know, read the Bible. It's like the easiest thing you can do. It's like you can do it once a day, I don't know, once a week. You can do whatever you want, but just read and you'll understand, because I'm talking and I'm not very good at talking, but you know, when you read, you see the words, it makes a lot more sense of what I'm trying to tell you. And that's what you'll learn when you read the Bible. That's what you get when you read the Bible. You get faith, you get humbling. You really need to understand that being atheist and faithless doesn't really accomplish much, okay? It just doesn't. You want to be selfless. You want to be more interactive in a community. Faith is one of those things that intertwines just about everything. And I'm just saying, it'll give you a reason to, one, live, do good things, not do bad things. And I'm not saying that we don't do bad things. I'm saying I'm a man. I do stupid things because that's what I am, a man. But I'm just saying it's faith that will guide you towards humbling yourself so you don't do the wrong things all the time. You change your ways. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you read the Bible, and thank you. Goodbye.